and a mom of 2, soon to be 3. But I also have a full-time job as a sales rep. And this is kind of my virtual life right now. It's like, I can't see somebody or somebody can't see me. So if everybody can hear me, that is awesome. And I did want this to be pretty interactive. So I just wanted to kind of introduce myself and introduce more, I don't know, talk more. Good, you can hear me. Awesome. Talk more about intuitive eating. So I also do plant-based nutrition counseling on the side, along with everything else that I do, because it's such a huge passion of mine. And not only just figuring out how to fuel ourselves or feed ourselves, but why we're doing it. What's the reason behind why we're eating and how we're eating. And like, I haven't always been plant-based, and I haven't always been so passionate about where we're sourcing our food and how we're sourcing it and what that means to, yeah, I would love to see you guys. Sorry, I just keep seeing messages from Tanya.
Sarah, do you mentioned you want to be interactive. Do you want us to, do you want to see us and then we can take questions and unmute?
Sure. Well, yeah, I want all the questions. I love them. But anyway, yeah, so I think it happened years ago before I started having kiddos. And I just started, I think it was, you start watching documentaries, you start reading more, and you start becoming more aware of where the heck our food is coming from. And before, honestly, like as a dietitian, I think that our training is just about calories and protein and carbohydrate and calculating macronutrient needs and all those kind of needs. And it's much more medical. And so for quite a while, that's what I was focused on. I was just focused on like calories, fruits, vegetables, blah, 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 blah. But I never really actually paid attention to where the heck I'm getting it from and what that meant to the environment. So just for like on an aside, I feel like I coach a lot of people. I think I coach a lot of people in raising little plant-based kiddos, but also just being more aware of where we're getting our food and why that matters. So I slowly made the transition to more of a zero waste lifestyle, as well as just sourcing locally. So you don't often find me in a Thrifty Foods or even the Root Cellar or something where they say, or Whole Foods sometimes. But I feel like it's really important for us to be more aware of where the food's coming from and really transitioning to a more seasonal diet. I think that our bodies, with wherever we're born in the world, I feel like we do better eating seasonally with what our environment that we are living in can produce. So I'm really passionate about that. We shop at Mitchell's Farm and Dan's Farm, and we eat seasonally. So right now it's a lot of cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, leeks, potato and leek soup, that type of stuff. But in doing that, there's a lot of benefits that come from eating seasonally and supporting our local farmers. First of all, just supporting, I think supporting local is a huge thing. And I think we're really good at doing that here in Victoria. But supporting our local farmers is a lovely thing to do, because I don't know, they're producing the best, like, organic, nutrient dense food that we can get, and it's right at our fingertips, and it's picked that day. So I feel like they should get our support over bigger chains. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. And you can't get everything from Mitchell's or Dan's, I know, but if we're moving towards more of a whole foods and plant-based diet, I think this is the place to start, because you just go and you haul you get your veggie haul. So anyways, seasonal is super important, because seasonal and local, because it's the most nutrient dense. So we're not buying stuff that's been shipped from Chile or Mexico or California or wherever, that's been on a truck, and literally the second something's picked, it starts to lose some of its nutrient content. So going to our local farms is a great way to offset that. And we are also reducing our carbon footprint by just hopping down to our local farmer. We can get pretty much anything we need, and not be kind of contributing to that, the carbon footprint that we would see with shipping stuff everywhere, and the manpower that takes to to do all of those things, ship and pack and load and all that stuff. So that's my little tangent on local. I think it's super important. I think it is the best for our health, and all of our local farmers use no sprays, no pesticides, no nothing. Like Mitchell's Farms in the summer, if you guys have been out in Central Saanich, their raspberries are like the size of my head, I swear. They're huge, and they use nothing. They use no pesticides. So they are like the most wholesome food we could get. So that's one thing. I do a lot of coaching around plant-based eating, but moving more, I have found it over the years that a lot of people move to a plant-based diet for a lot of reasons. It could be ethical reasons. It could be due to climate change and wanting to make a difference there. It could be just to support the humane treatment of animals, whatever the reason that people move more towards a plant-based diet. And I do believe plant-based is the future. I do not think that, I do not think that eating animal products is good for our health or the health of our environment or our children or anything. So I believe strongly in a plant-based living, but it doesn't have to be all or nothing. But what I have found in the years that I've been doing coaching and nutrition counseling with people that have moved towards a plant-based diet is that they don't know how to eat. And it's not a whole foods plant-based diet. It's like a pasta diet. They kind of rely on carbs, pastas, packaged stuff. I remember being in Whole Foods years ago and checking out, and the girl ahead of me was clearly vegan, and she was like, oh, it's so expensive to be vegan. And she had all the packaged stuff. She had the processed wieners and cheeses and Gardein, like chicken strips and that type of stuff. And it's just not, I feel like, and I love I love convenience food sometimes, and I love the comfort food sometimes. And I don't ever believe in the all or nothing mindset, which we'll get to a bit when we start talking. And I will try to keep it, I'm so chatty, guys, so I will leave some room for some questions. We will get to a bit of intuitive eating after we just speak to the fact that, yeah, so nobody knew how to eat, and still nobody knows how to eat, and they don't know how to bring their kids up plant-based. And there's a lot of fear that is put in them. Even with me, my doctor was the same with common old school kind of practices. Like, you're doing a bad job if you're not feeding your little kiddo homo milk or like cow's milk or something like that. And there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And I feel like people are really lost with how to navigate a plant-based diet without having to rely on some of the convenience foods or the processed foods. And I think there's a time and place for those for sure. But I have spent a lot of time just helping with that and helping with recipe development. And I have a little website that I've kind of lost track of for the last little bit, just because kids and work and everything has gotten in the way. But and my Instagram is kind of where I use most of the time to just help motivate people. And it is just with recipes and inspiration and what can we do with the foods we have right now. So right now it's a lot of curries, it's a lot of pad thai and stir fries and that type of stuff. And that's awesome because it's still local. We just have to kind of shift our recipes for the fall, which you know what, during the fall and winter, I'm not really feeling like a salad, like cold veggies anyway. So I think that tells us that we should be eating with the seasons too. I feel like when the weather shifts, I don't know if you guys can relate, but it's not really like barbecue season. You're not craving a burger and like a salad or like skewered vegetables on the grill. You're kind of craving more of the comfort foods, the mac and cheese, the spaghettis, the casseroles, that type of stuff. So yeah, I just have found that I think we need a lot of help with just navigating how to source our food, where to source our food, and how to cook with it. Like, I'm working with a couple right now, and they have made a huge transformation in just a couple months, but it was takeout and fast food, and they didn't even know where to start or where to shop or what to get. And so I think it's really important information, but it's a really easy transformation as well. So, and again, on my website, guys, if you want, like, I have a list to what is in season, just specific to where we live. So on the island, what's in season and where to get it. So it's a really awesome little list. So we can start kind of putting some of those efforts into place. And then lastly, before I kind of open it up and you guys can talk, and I hope you feel comfortable in talking. And if you don't, you can always, like Tanya and Whitney, they have my contact information. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm kind of everywhere. But hopefully you feel comfortable talking in front of people for questions. But intuitive eating, so this is my jam. And when I just spoke about how people have a hard time knowing how to eat, knowing how to go more towards plant-based and not just relying on packaged foods and pastas and pizzas and that type of stuff. Nobody knows how to listen to their bodies and eat these days. Ever, ever, ever. I have met very few people that actually just eat what they want and listen to their body and honor their body and honor what it's telling them. So this is something that I work really hard with my clients with. And I think, Tanya, I don't know if you were in that one group we did a while ago, but I remember coming into this group because I teach spin at BPM, and they had just asked me to do a 1 hour talk about nutrition. And I was like, yeah, sure. Cool. I love it. And I think all the girls, I don't think there might've been one man there, but anyway, their jaws just dropped when I was like, we're not talking diets. We're not talking calories. I never want to hear you talk about a specific macronutrient. I don't care about any of it. I don't care about sugar, et cetera, et cetera. And they were just, I think by the end of it, it was really awesome because they were like, wow, this is empowering. And I can actually listen to my body and not cut portions and still achieve my goals. But at first I think that they were like a hell no kind of thing. Like, no, you're going to tell me how to eat and I want a meal plan. And that's that. So I think it's really important. And I would love for you guys, just as a takeaway, to stop. And maybe you guys are already doing this, and then yay, I love it. There's so much information out there, guys. There's like the Wheat Belly book, and there's the Atkins diet, and there's the diet for every blood type. And like, there's so many diets, and yes, there's great things to take away from each of them, I think. But in the end, I think we need to, and I look at my kids because they're the best example of how to just eat and listen to their body. And if they've had one bite of dinner and they're full, I don't push it. I'm like, good, cool. All right, you're full, because they know, they haven't had society and social media and just knowledge and information just pounded into them to change the way they eat. So right now they eat intuitively. They eat when they're hungry, they eat what they feel like. And it's a really, really beautiful thing. So I help to coach us adults to get back to that, which is a really, really empowering, wonderful thing when you can get to that point where you're not worried about calories, you're not worried about carbohydrates, you're not worried about macronutrients at all. And there's also not that guilt associated with eating. So I think is just as passionate as I am about plant-based eating. I worked in eating disorders before. I've been in sales for 8 years. And before that, I worked as a dietitian in eating disorders. And it's the best thing to get away from the diets and the guilt and like the cheat days and all that stuff. Like, just eat to fuel your body and have a purpose behind why you're eating. So like, eat that plant-based food, eat the whole foods that you got from our local grocer. So you know that you're benefiting the climate change crap, and you know that you're benefiting our local farmers and our local economy, like all that. And you're putting it into good, wholesome food that you're cooking at home with your family. That's all that matters. And if you actually, so it throws people when I start working with them because they think they won't reach their goals. But once you start doing that, and once I see the meals that you're creating and how you're eating, your weight comes off. So you actually will get down to a nice baseline where you usually naturally should sit. And it's such a cool thing. And there's no deprivation. I don't believe in portion control. I'm the dietitian that wants to throw away the stupid Canada's food guide because it's just not intuitive. And I don't think that a person should just eat like the small little portion on their palm for their protein for one meal or whatever. So anyways, guys, I said I would talk for 20 minutes and I've taken 17. So I don't want to take much more just in case anybody has any questions. But I could go on forever and ever. But I just kind of wanted to give you an overview of kind of where I came from and how it's totally possible. I wasn't vegan overnight. It took years of learning and just slow transitions. And I wasn't zero waste overnight. I still am not 100%, but we definitely strive for that. And I wasn't always supporting our local farmers. So, and I wasn't at a point also where I was eating intuitively. I remember as a dietitian, just because you know too much, you obsess about that stupid information. So there was a point where I was much younger where it was like, I knew my calories I was eating. I felt bad when I ate this. I had those cheat days, and now I'm totally free of that. And I help to coach people to get out of that. So you can just eat and be happy and not even worry about it. But anyways, any questions? And you guys feel free, like if you don't want to speak up now, you can shoot me an email or write me on Instagram or whatever. I think I have I've given Tanya all my modes of communication. So if you want to touch base after, just to chat, just to run some ideas by me, whatever, some questions, feel free. But I'm going to stop talking now because I talk forever.
Sarah, that's awesome. I agree. I feel like I could just listen to you talk because it's so interesting. There was a question. We have about 5 minutes, well, 6 minutes.
Hey.
So there was a question from one of our audience members, but like Sarah said, we put up her email and her Instagram. And if you have a question, you can message her. And one of the prizes we're giving away for a donation is an hour consultation with Sarah. So you donate and you get your name entered into the prize. Then you can have a nice one-on-one for an hour with Sarah. So there's that. But Sarah's happy to answer your questions. So just shoot her an email. And you're going to stick around after in the chat. So if you want questions, she can answer them. But one of them was from Star. It says, I prefer a plant-based diet, but have many food allergies and intolerance. No dairy, eggs, gluten, no stone fruit or melons. I find nuts, beans, legumes make me have stomach aches. Any thoughts on best plant protein sources? So can you answer that question? And maybe it will jog some more for other people, and then you can.
Yeah, totally. Well, I would have, and I'm happy to send you ideas and recipe ideas. So feel free to email me. But I am so on my plant-based diet, I am vegan. So I do not have dairy or eggs. And I don't do well with gluten either. So I feel like I'm kind of eating the same way as you are. I have a lot of different restrictions. There are beans and legumes. We're not going to get away from those being a gassy food, which, I think there's different ways to cook it. And I think there's different ways to incorporate proteins. Yes, there are awesome plant-based protein sources that would fit your dietary restrictions that would not cause so much gas. So soy is a beautiful thing. Tofu is a beautiful thing. And there has been all the research to debunk anything that used to say oh, soy will cause cancer, et cetera, et cetera. Soy actually has estrogenic compounds in it. So it's actually cancer fighting. It's really good for women and men. We use tofu a lot with our kiddos. We do beans and lentils as well. But I think we could talk offline as well, because protein, I read something by a doctor one time and it really stuck with me that if you're eating a good whole foods diet, if you're eating enough for yourself, you're getting enough protein. So again, kind of shifting that mentality from and I was this way as a dietitian, it was protein, protein, protein. I ate Greek yogurt, I ate chicken breast, it was just every meal was centered around protein. We definitely want to make sure you're getting enough protein, but I wouldn't worry about it and I wouldn't focus on it too much. Sometimes we have stir fries or curries or whatever without any source of protein in it, because we're still getting lots from the food that we're eating throughout the day. Soy is a lovely one, and we could work towards chatting about different beans and legumes that might be less gassy. But the beans and legumes will be a little bit more, they ferment. They're awesome for our gut and gut health. They're a beautiful food, but they do make us gassy, which can cause some tummy aches for sure. Okay. Whitney just sent my info. Awesome. More of a comment than a question. It was good to hear that it's okay to let the kid eat what and when she wants others. Yeah. So Noreen, I want to talk about this for a second. Because this is something that I believe very strongly in, and we are good. We have a couple more minutes. I grew up in a household where I was made to eat all the food on my plate, and there was a timer set and we had to finish everything, and it was a teary experience and it was not pleasant. We also weren't allowed to eat when we were actually hungry. So I'd get home from school and I'd be starving and we weren't allowed to eat. And it was all about, I feel like parents project a lot of their issues onto children, like without us even knowing. But it was all just about fitting into a friggin' routine, and it doesn't matter. Like, let the kids eat when they want to eat. And do you know what I think is the best thing for children? Like, the most healthy thing you can do is don't even label foods as healthy or unhealthy. My kid, my 2-year-old, ate all his chocolates out of his advent calendar this morning. I don't care, because later he was snacking on peppers and hummus and cucumbers. Like, it's very, and I don't like, so that would be my biggest recommendation. Don't ever force your kids to eat anything. Like, if they take one bite at the mealtime and they are full, cool. Who are you to tell them that they need to eat more? Also, I would say never, ever, ever use healthy, unhealthy, bad, good, because that creates that unhealthy relationship with food. It creates the guilt associated with eating something. They're going to choose what they need to eat. And like, it's a really cool thing. Like, if I don't, never healthy or unhealthy or good or bad. I've never used the word fat, and I never will in front of my children, but don't label food and see what they do, and just offer lots of good food for them. But if they want a treat, give them a treat. Like, I feel like we screw our kids up at a very early age when we're kind of like, nope, you need to eat, and no, you can't have dessert until dinner's done. Don't do that one either, people. Let them have dessert even if they don't finish their whole meal, because there's no benefit for them to finishing their whole meal. By doing that, we're teaching them to not listen to their bodies. So anyways, that's a rant. I could go on forever about that one, because I see parents struggling with how to feed their kids, and I feel like they're just grasping at straws, where really we just need to kind of let go and trust our kids, because they're not going to starve. They're going to eat. So yeah. Okay. So that was
amazing. That is incredible, Sarah. I feel like a lot of those things, maybe I do, and I need to stop. I'm stopping right now.
Well, Tanya, we can talk offline too, because it's hard. Like, I feel like I've even caught myself being like almost going to be like, well, no, do you want one more bite? What does one more bite matter? Like, just listen to your kiddos. They're young. They know.
That's true. Give them less credit than they deserve. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for being here. That was incredible. I do want everyone to know that Sarah, you're going to be on the chat after for all the questions.
Yeah, I can totally stay on and answer the questions. Star, real quick, local plant-based is way cheaper than traditional. Just saying. Yeah. And Heather, I can write you back. I can chat you back answers, so you guys can, so I won't push any of the...
I think the questions and the answers will be great in the chat, so then we can all read them and go back to it. This has been incredible to hear you and watch, and very informative, so thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for my time, or for your time.
I appreciate you staying on time. That's awesome. You're good. I knew you were. You're like the spin instructor that, like, at the exact end time, we're done.
Yeah.
So good for that. Okay, so everyone, Sarah's going to stick around on the Zoom chat for any questions you have. So throw them all on there. And if any questions you don't want to ask her, you can ask her privately, or send her the email that we posted. And we're also going to post her Instagram, so everyone can go. I do follow her on Instagram, and she has some pretty incredible recipes. So it's definitely worth checking out. Thank you so much, Sarah. And remember, if you donate to the Victoria Women's Transition House, you will get your name entered into a draw and possibly win a 1-hour consultation with Sarah. So thank you so much, Sarah.
Thanks, guys. Have an awesome day.
You too.
Bye.